Hello, good afternoon, everyone. You are welcome to our standardization solar products for the Nigerian market, sponsored by ETC. We will just give about 2 to 3 minutes for people to join up before we start. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, I'm very happy to have you all here. It's such an honor to be doing this presentation on behalf of ETC. You're all welcome. And we have a very exciting package for you today. It's always exciting for us to have important people such as yourself with us, and of course, our colleagues from the industry who will be doing their presentations. So we're going to go ahead and start, and I'll be giving a brief overview of what ETC does um, in the industry. So this is going to be our agenda. Again, a brief 5 minutes introduction, and we have some of our distinguished colleagues here. I'll be introducing them shortly after the introduction. So who are ETC and what do we do? ETC, or Energy Talent Company, is a global energy talent accelerator that trains and outsources talents to solar companies based on needs and value alignment on a short-term project or medium to long-term contract. So basically what happened is that we are fulfilling a need in the industry. We identified a gap where a lot of the players in the industry were not getting the talents they wanted. They were coming in as half baked and they were not sufficient to do the job. So ETC is at the junction between the talents and the solar company in that we provide a high quality program for the talents, professional development and placement within companies. And then the service we deliver for the solar companies are they get efficient hiring, they get people who are above the curve. So they go through this training program and they get graduate trainees that have already been exposed to both online and in-person training program. So it's a very effective way. We believe that the solar companies are going to benefit by acquiring or getting highly trained talent. Okay, so this is the breakdown of we call it our three strategic products. It's how our program is designed. First, we do what we call the foundational program. So the foundational program is completely online, and it exposes the talents or the what we call the talents are the people who are coming into the program with the foundational knowledge on solar capability. So a bit of the fundamentals um, that they are exposed to. After they are able to complete the foundational program, they take an assessment where those who are successful qualify for the specialization program. Now, the specialization program, we go more in depth. We deal with more advanced subjects, training on solar design, installation, operation, and maintenance. And then throughout the program, we maintain a blended learning approach where it's not only in person, offline or what we call we call the program that is done online. We also have an in-person session where they get to connect the equipment together. They get to interact with subject matter experts, which we call SME. So those are professionals in the field that are currently working in the industry. So it gives them a rich experience of both the online and offline and bringing it together. And then those who are successful in that or successfully complete that program now move on to our outsourcing service. So basically, we start an apprenticeship where we place these talents with companies that have ongoing projects. So the best way to learn is through experience. And by doing this, our talents are able to enrich themselves with field experience so that by the time they are ready for work with any company, they have both the fundamentals and the theory aspect, as well as the training in the field. And so these are some of the things we obsess about in terms of our learning. We consider sizing a PV system, the electrical design concepts, SHE. We even do trainings for solar career paths. So not just the technical aspect. How would you build your career in such a way that the ultimate goal is owning your own solar company, or how do you fit as a high-level manager in another solar company. So it's not just the training on the technical aspect. We also build around it more of the admin and other aspects that you would need to be an effective engineer. So that's a brief about ourselves. And we are going to go to the main topic or the meat of today. And we're excited to have with us some of the leaders in the industry currently driving change in the industry right now. And our first speaker is Mr. CYPRIAN OKOLO. Engineer CYPRIAN OKOLO is an electrical electronics engineer with a specialty in power, system protection, control, and automation. He has gained over 12 years of experience. He is the sales advisor for Fronius International, which is he's a sales advisor for the entire West Africa. Like I said, he has over 12 years of experience in the industry. And he joined Fronius International in April 2019 as the technical sales advisor for the English-speaking West Africa. There he offers local support to both existing and prospective clients and partners alike via training, presentations and consultations, and other Fronius-based support programs and services. And so it's my pleasure to invite CYPRIAN OKOLO to give us his presentation.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Tolu, for the introduction. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I will be presenting my lot for the earlier advertised topic, which has to do with standardization as it affects solar products in the Nigerian market. So to do this, I will have to start with, just to give you a scope of my presentation, I'll start with a brief of, give you a brief of Fronius, a brief about our products, and then how, or the steps we take to meet standards that have already been set, especially by SunCap, per se, a scheme derived from Standards Organization of Nigeria to ensure that products are imported into the Nigerian market, specifically solar products in this case for discussion, meet already designated standards and ensure that whatever product we have there or installed by end users meet its respective specification as needed. Yeah. So let's start with the first page. Yeah. So like I said, it will be giving us a brief about Fronius. So let's continue to the next slide, please. This is just an introductory page. Yeah. So to begin with, the Fronius as a company started in 1945 in a small town called Battenberg in Upper Austria by Gunther Fronius. Next slide, please. I'll try to be as fast as possible. Yeah, so from Battenberg, it has actually spread globally with far-reaching extents. Next slide. Yes, you can see we have subsidiaries, agencies, and export markets spread all across the world. Next slide. Yes, it's a family-owned business, and it's in its third generation of ownership, as you can see from the screenshots. So this basically tells us that we enjoy a good degree of stability because we're not affected by, we're not in the stock market per se, so we're not affected by any factors arising from that. So we take decisions and always strive to ensure that our services as designed and meet very, very high standards and expectations. The next slide, please. So basically we have three business units. The charging unit, which was the first, founded in 1945, shown by the icon and picture in the middle. And then to the right, we have the welding unit, welding business unit that was founded in 1950, 5 years later. And then the solar energy business unit that was founded in 1992. So altogether, we have 3 business units. Yes. Next slide. And then, so that brings us to the topic of our discussion today. So we're actually looking at the solar energy market. Next slide. Great. So let's have Fronius in numbers. That's our solar energy business unit. So we have 17.3 gigawatts of installed inverter power capacity, used by 2 million installed inverter, actually over 2 million as we speak, generating up to 24.2 terawatt hour of energy that's generated annually, with 60 export countries and 95% export ratio. Next slide, please. Great. So that brings us to the topic of 24 hours of sun. Of course, we all know that there's no spot on the earth that has 24 hours of sun. But then what we mean by this, next slide, is to ensure that we harness the power of the sun or energy generated from the sun to meet 100% of our energy needs. That's for 24 hours. So that's where we derived this, the title or the name for this vision. So it entails harnessing renewable energy sources to meet our energy needs 24 hours. Residential, commercial, communal energy, solar hub, microgrid power gas, PV plants, wind power, and hydro power, all harnessed to ensure we have 24 hours of power supply, all met by pure renewable energy sources, which of course minimizes a carbon footprint to the, of course, BRS level. Next slide. Good. So in Fronius, we manufacture products that we're basically inverter manufacturers, and we don't just stop at in manufacturing just inverters for their basic purpose, that is inverting DC to AC. We also ensure that these inverters are smart enough to perform certain functions or multiple functions that they are basically designed to do. This includes integrating different sectors of energy consumption, thereby helping and of course ensuring that the end users get a suitable level of self-consumption. This comes from, say, heating and cooling solutions that we provide, which also include EV charging, for example, as in addition to provision of power to your domestic household load points. Next slide, please. So this brings us to the question of the topic standardization. So at Fronius, we go to very high extents to ensure that we provide highest level of quality and service to ensure that for the Nigerian market, products that are the best and highest quality are installed for the end users. Next slide, please. So this is to give us a product chronology right from its inception, the inception of the business unit. First product, which is the Fronius Sunrise, as you can see the bottom left, that was we started manufacturing in 1995. Product, the Tauro, that was rolled out in the market this year. I'm proud to say that yeah, so I'm proud to say that all these products enjoy the same support from our technical unit. So meaning that these products, let's say the Fronius Sunrise that was manufactured in 1995 is still in service as we speak today. So this means that for this to happen, it means that we put in a lot as it comes to meeting high standards and ensuring that our product the test of time. So we have spare parts available for all these products as you can see on the screen. Next slide, please. Good. So as part of what we do to ensure that our product stands the test of time, we put them through various rigorous tests that under test, we put them under test conditions that are usually 10 times more than what is obtained in nature. So this test includes the mechanical load test, salt spray tests for coastal regions that are humid and moist, and of course have dissipation of salt on products, infrared test that has to do with the irradiation test, shipping test, freezing test, as you can see. So no matter how harsh the condition is, our products are designed to ensure that they survive the harshest of conditions, and of reliability tests. Next slide, please. Good. So like I've been saying, and also would want to reiterate it now, that our products actually one of the best in the world, if not the best. We put our products through highest procedures to ensure that we have the highest standards in terms of sustainability. And in that regard, and with the sole aim of ensuring that we combust the minimal amount of carbon, we ensure that right from the sourcing to the end of life of the product, we ensure minimal carbon footprint. And then after that, after the end of life, we ensure that the recycling process is purely renewable, meaning that we wouldn't have to go through the sourcing process anymore. We ensure that the remnants or the spare parts of the products that have gone through the end of life period, we ensure that they're put through the same process of manufacturing to get new products in the market. So next slide. So by so doing, I would like to say that at Fronius, our innovative products and services united in the holistic system are very, very sustainable in every aspect, thereby paving the way to a future energized by the power of the sun, especially in the Nigerian solar energy market. So yeah, that brings me to the end of my slide presentations. Of course, I will be open to answer questions at the end of all the presentations. So with this, I've come to the end of my presentation. I hope I didn't take too much time. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Engineer CYPRIAN. What a pleasure. Again, please, just a reminder, we'll be having Q&A sessions at the end of the sessions after the other two speakers are done with their presentations. So if you have any questions, you can either type it in the chat box or you will be given a chance to present those questions. So next we have um, okay, those are his details in case you'd like to get in contact with him. Thank you again, Engineer Cyprian. Next, we have Engineer Ayowale OJO, another distinguished colleague in the industry. He's the sales manager for West Africa for JA Solar. Engineer OJO is a trained international developer professional and certified project manager with experience in renewable energy and solution sales across West and Central Africa. He holds a BA in Classics from the University of Ibadan and an MA in Development Studies from Manchester University. In the last 8 years, he has led business development and sales teams across West and Central Africa in information technology and renewable energy sectors. He currently manages JA Solar business across West Africa. So it's my pleasure to introduce Engineer Ayowale OJO for his presentation.
Hi, good day, everyone. And it's an honor to be here. Yes, thanks for the engineer title, but I'm not current certified. I'm not trained. I'm not a trained engineer, if I might say that. So that engineer might be removed.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Yeah.
I give respect to the engineers. So the slides, please. So today we will be having a discussion around the topic standardization and in Nigeria space. I might not sound like an engineer. I will sound like every other Nigerian like you, like that's on the call. Basically, we'll talk about standards and also talk about need for standardization, which is what is very important to us at the moment in the country. Also, challenges of standardization. Why can't we have standardization? Why is it tough? Why is it hard? What are the challenges? And yeah, we will then touch on some global standard certifications for solar modules. JA Solar, while afterwards, I will now talk about JA Solar and how we fit into this space and the contribution we have made thus far. Yeah. Yeah, for standards, basically these are generic definition of standards, a document established by consensus and approved by a recognized body that provides for common and repeated rules. These are rules, uses, and just standards that has to be followed, basically. And just note that when we're talking about standards, standards should be based on consolidated results of science, technology, and experience, not just basic. It should be like this, no. But we're talking about this should be based on tests. This should be hypothesis put to test, and we have a result. We have a theory around it. So that's basically what standards are. And next slide. For needs for standards, currently in the country where we are, I will have to tell you that globally, standards is it's what every industry follows, and the renewable energy industry as a standard globally. These are harmonized international consensus and standards in the renewable energy sector. These are things you have to follow. They are laid down rules and regulations. And so even in a space like Nigeria, we need to follow these things. One, because of which is number two, we have to conform. So lots of projects around here, We get funding from DFIs. We get fundings from global organizations, and these fundings, the people that are funding this project, they want to see standards. So if we give you X and Y $1 million, won't you come back in 10 years to say, wow, the project's crashed? And so how will they get their money from? These are the reasons for standards. And these are the needs for standard. Also, risk. I've traveled across West Africa, even Central, and I've seen some projects in 2 years, 3 years, solar panels will bend. And you're like, so how did this bend? You won't explain. The engineers won't be able to explain it, but these are because the solar panels are substandards. They do not have certifications needed to be standardized projects, to be standards for such projects. Hence, you get bent panels, you get panels that after 2-3 years or 10 years of installation, they now produce half of the power they ought to be producing. These are the challenges. So these are the risks. And for transparency purposes, yes, everybody talks about the challenge in the renewable energy space is basically finance. But before you get financing, you need to get your standards right. You need to show that, yes, I'm going to follow global standards. So in Nigeria, we need the standards, basically. And yes, the industry is a huge one, as most of us would know. In the next 3 to 5 years, it's been proposed that about $200 billion will be spent in renewable energy space. That's gas and solar. That's an industry we're playing in. And when it comes to funds such as huge as this, everybody has to follow standards. Everybody has to know that, yes, I'm doing what is right. So these are basically the needs for standards in the space, basically, and in Nigeria, most importantly. Next slide, please. Yeah, the challenges. Governmental framework, a regulatory framework. Yes, in Nigeria, we have SON. Policy of SON is robust. Yes, what happens most of the time is largely following the global trends, following the global policies. But the challenge now comes in number 2. Yes, these products that people will just tell you, we have this certification. But when it gets down here, do we actually test these panels? Are we sure we are doing what they said? It comes that way. Togo, some few months back, did an installation of a testing plant. So they want to test. They won't say they won't test everything, just one panel. Test it and let's go. So when one panel is tested, they know all the other panels in the box should be good, right? So they want to test. And I guess Burkina, they have something like that too. Yes, where we are at the ports in Apapa or Tinkan, per container sometimes, which is a random, the sun takes one panel. Whether tested or not tested, that's as clearing. The product goes into the country. I wouldn't want to say whether it's tested or not. But all the same, these are things that needs to be looked at. Cost of non-standard products. So what it is sometimes is non-standard products that don't pass all the tests. They are cheaper in the market, and they are more sought after. So everybody wants to buy. And when you are in business, you import what people want to buy at a cheaper rate. And at every shape or form, every means, you bring these panels into the country. I'm talking about panels because that's what JS Solar does. Compliance and monitoring, which is what I've said, it should be end-to-end. So not just some. It should be EPCs, it should be IPPs, it should be everybody that should be involved. So when you are, even as a project owner yourself, when you are about saying, okay, I have a project, tell them X and Y project is what I want to use because they have the standards. Or demand for global standardization, global certificates of conformity, global certificates that shows that these products are standard, they are of good standards. But what hampers that is the knowledge base. People don't know. People just see whatever is black, whatever is has a shape of a panel. they put it on the on top of their roof. It works, and that is solar panel. No. Solar panels are in grades: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and these are with different levels of standardization before you earn that tier. Next. Yeah, these are possible stakeholders: project owners, grid operators, finance, bank. Yes, our banks also, they are the ones that process from them, they process these things. These standards should be part of what it is. They should be looking into it too, because, and everybody, insurance, because every product that comes into the country, they get insurance for that. So everybody can actually work together in this space. Regulators, which is where the sun comes into. Everybody should come together in us having the assurance that we have standardized products in country. Next slide. Yeah, these are some of the global standards. Yeah, the first one is the first one is the mechanical test, which CYPRIAN mentioned about products. That's mechanical test. Some others, all of them, I wrote some of the numbers here, but all the same, even Googling them, you get to have the full name of certifications. So these are different certification tests: salt test against ammonia, junction box certification. Every part of the panel is standardized. And a couple of organizations that does this. The first one is Switzerland-based organization, IEC. TUV is a Deutsch, which is a German certification, and these are global standards for solar panels. These are a few mentioned. Yeah, for JA Solar, most of these certifications that you saw on that list and many more we have. Just next slide. Yeah, for JA Solar, let's just a quick introduction of JA Solar. Yes, founded in 2005. We have listed as Fortune China 500. Currently, we have about 11% of market share globally, and we have over 25,000 staff. So it's not a small company. About 63 gigawatts combined shipments out of China already, or out of other places, other factories we have. For global manufacturing base, this out of this sheet is 12, but we have about 13 now factories global where we manufacture panels from. So we're training over 33,000 customers worldwide now. Yeah, for leadership, yes, JA Solar itself started as an R&D company. So we do largely research and development for the solar space. But now, if you can do research for people and they make panels and sell, why can't you run your own? Hence, we started in 2005. And now, we are global number 2 when it comes to market share. And for technology, we are still, because we started with R&D, we are a leading a leading machine when it comes to R&D, when it comes to research and development, innovation. So most of the patents for PERC, most of the patents, gallon doping, we have the patents as JA Solar. And others now, yes, have used the patents in manufacturing. Next slide, please. These are some of the certifications that we have. Test sequence for PV modules, test sequence for PV. I told you already, most of the things that were listed there, we have we have a gamut of all. But just to push some here. Next slide, please. And these are more certifications from IEC, from TUV, from everywhere. All the ISOs 9001, ISO 2015, ISO 14001, all we have the gamut of that. Hence, when it comes to standardization and standard products, JA Solar is ready for that. And we have much standard when it comes to that. Next slide, please. Yeah, these are international accreditations. Yeah, you can see that TUB, many organizations globally accredited us, and we are in Europe. Generally, for Europe PD, we've been consistent since 2016 as top brand panel since 2016 to 2021, and that is progression. That is consistency even on products. Next slide. Yeah, currently we have a 550 watt panel. It's between 525 and 550 powered panel. These the trend over 21% efficiency, and because of the new technology that which they have lower LCOE, which is more that over the years, in the next 20 years, what is doing 100% now, when it comes to degradation, as of the next 25 years, we are certified that this will still be doing over 95% efficiency 25 years down the line. That's an easy way of explaining that. And because it's also wide, has more power on it, you get to reduce the cost of product in general, cost of project in general. So cost of your mounting structure gets reduced, and efficiency is on it. Also, we have the same spec in 460, between 440 and 465 watt panels, and all these products, even though they are the high end now, they are being used in Nigeria already. We are shipping. It's not like there are some products that are meant for Europe. No. These are standard products, and they are being shipped already to Nigeria, and they are being used for projects. Next slide, please. Yeah, these are some of our strategic partners globally. You can see the names of Hitachi. We make panels for Hitachi. These are just basically the global organizations that we partner with. Solar Century, some names. Next slide, please. Yeah, these are some of the projects across. Yes, some of them in Africa. The Burkina Faso is a mine, is a solar mine, but the mine, they've scaled the project up now to 25 megawatts, just a site, and all used solar panel, solar panel used. Also, there are some in Namibia. We have over 130 megawatts project in Egypt. The names of the projects are there, and across the world. These are known projects globally that use solar panels. Next slide, please. Well, that comes to the end of. I know we have a short time. I'll just do a run through. We have a short time. But that's basically showing you that yes, the standard in Nigeria we need to work on it. Definitely, everybody must be on ground to work on it. Every organization, be you project owner, be you regulatory bodies, the banks, insurers, everybody should come together in us having a strong, standardized industry. That's when investors, global organizations look into Nigeria, they see transparency, they see, yes, these are projects are bankable and people can invest. And the scale, and yes, we know the growth is there now, but it should move much faster than what we have at the moment. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ojo, for that wonderful presentation. Again, just a reminder that if you have any questions, you can send them in the chat box for the end of the presentation. Thank you very much. Again, you have his contacts here, ojo@jasolar.com if you need to contact him. So for our final panelist, we have Mr. Sam Ogunniyi. He is currently the sales manager for Africa at Trina Solar, with a focus on West Africa. Right now, he's the sales advisor for West Africa, as well, as you can see. Mr. Sam Ogunniyi is also responsible for supporting developers and EPC with PV models in different application use, ranging from utility projects to C&I, that's commercial and industrial, irrigation and rooftop installation. Mr. Sam Ogunniyi has about 15 years of experience in FMGC, and he has been able to scale the work for Trina Solar considerably in Nigeria. Like I said, he has 15 years commercial and project management experience spanning across FCMG, telecoms, and renewable energy. He had his first degree at the University of Ibadan, Nigeria, and a postgraduate degree from the University. And so he'll be giving us his presentation on Trina Solar. Mr. Sam Ogunniyi, you are highly welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. And I'm happy, just as the other speakers has also rightly mentioned. We are very happy to be part of this particular session. And thanks to Energy Talent for putting this together. And I think just as the other speakers have also said, one of the major issues that we have for the growth and the accelerated growth of renewable energy that we needed in Nigeria is the issue of standardization. So it's a good thing that this is being brought to the forefront. So I'm going to start my presentation by briefly going into, if I can go to the next slide, my slide. By talking briefly about Trina Solar standardization and influence on the growth of the Nigeria solar energy. And of course, you're going to look at the impact of standardization. I mean, what are the implications of we adhering to standard and otherwise? And of course, we look at Trina Solar standards, the process and procedures that we put in place as an organization in order to ensure that all the projects that we do across the continent are bankable projects and are projects that are going to last over a very long time. Next slide. Okay, so just a brief introduction about Trina Solar. So Trina Solar is a world-class PV and smart energy total solution provider. Trina Solar came to being in 1997. So we've been existing for the past over 23 years. And in 2006, we got listed on the New York Stock Exchange. And in addition to that, we are also listed on the Shanghai Stock Exchange with over 1 billion in market capitalization. In 2016, we became the #1 module shipment in the world. And of course, in the last year, in the year of COVID, that a lot of people were talking about negativity across the world due to the pandemic. We got listed on the Shanghai. We were listed on the Shanghai stock. Were making us the first company in the industry to get this listing. Next slide, please. Okay, so in terms of, I think other speakers have also said a lot of things about bankability of projects and all that. So for us at Trina Solar, bankability is one of our core value, and for the past 6 consecutive years, according to the Bloomberg report, PV Energy report, we've been listed as the most bankable brand in the industry. Next one. Okay, so I think one of also our core is innovation, and we don't joke with innovation. And when we are talking about standardization of product, processes, projects, etc., I think technology innovation plays a very critical role in this space. And that's why for us at Trina Solar, we hold over 20 world records, and of course we have over 852 patents to our name. And if you look at the advent of PV modules in terms of module efficiency, if you look at from the genesis from where it started to where we are now, where we are already approaching about 24% efficiency in terms of energy. Next one. Okay, so just that's about a brief introduction about Trina Solar, and we want to look at the main topic that we are looking at today in terms of influence on growth of standardization in Nigeria energy market. So one of the key influence that we see from our end is that accelerated energy transition. If these standards are adhered to, the policies are being monitored strictly, then we are going to experience an accelerated energy transition. So what we mean by this is that when you look at currently, our energy mix is more of a fossil base, and we want to look at this compared with carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide producing energy technologies that we have. So in terms of standardization, we believe that if all the projects or the renewable energy projects follow the right standard that is being stipulated, and of course, we'll get to that point of accelerated energy growth, whereby by the year 2030, according to the C for All goal, then we'll have had a reasonable number of energy mix. And of course, increasing the energy mix of renewable energy and access. So over the years, we've seen that we've seen a lot of growth in the industry. I'm sure a lot of people before now, what readily comes to mind when they talk about renewable energy is the solar panel in the villages that never worked, those street lights that we had long ago that never worked. Then gradually we moved away from that dispensation to a lot of people are embracing the solar home system. And but now we can see a lot of active players in the C&I space, and a lot of C&I projects are coming up. Just until recently, I think the Nigerian breweries Ibadan got connected about 1 megawatt project. If you look at ShopRite Ijabi Mall in Abuja, also about 1 megawatt of project. So we can see a lot of activities actually coming up and happening within this space and all that. So what is leading to this is because of the standardization, the change the dynamics of and the mindset of people and perceive how solar and renewable energy works. And of course, if this is being followed, of course, it's automatically to attract more investors and boost the investment confidence. We see a lot of investment happening, especially in the renewable energy space. And when you look at solar specifically, most of the funding that come from overseas and not from Nigeria. So the Nigerian financial institutions, I think one of the reasons why they've not been able to do those huge funding is because they are not sure of how bankable those projects are going to be and all that. So for foreign investors, for financial institutions to be able to call me, those standards need to be there. If you look at what is happening in Nigeria and other West African countries, and you compare this with the happenings in the other part of Africa, that is the northern part of Africa and the southern part of Africa, you can see a huge gap in terms of the energy mix and in terms of the size of the project that is coming up. I think the speaker that spoke before me also mentioned about a project in Lomé, Togo, and so you can see a lot of projects in DRC. You see a lot of huge projects coming up, but here in Nigeria, we are not yet there yet, and of course, so one of the issues, one of the reasons is the issue of standardization and of course the bankability of every project that we want to do. So, of course, and in addition to that, more bankable projects, which means that I think there are a couple of projects also coming up in Nigeria. I'm aware of a 10 megawatt project coming up in Abuja, sometimes in Q4 this year. And I think another 10 megawatt project is coming up in, I think, Castina or Kano State. So we can see a lot of bankable projects springing up in Nigeria and other. Nigeria being the leader in terms of GDP across Africa and in terms of population and all that. So there is a need to have that corresponding development in terms of projects and energy access and all that. So gradually, I think we are not there yet, to be very honest, but from all indication from all the indices that is available, we are moving to this space gradually. The next slide. Okay, so what are the impact of standardization? So the number one is technological innovation. Again, a lot of people are shifting away from the solar home system. Now you see a lot of small projects coming up from individual houses that, okay, they want to power their refrigerators, they want to power their some other appliances in homes. And also we are shifting away from that one, more of C&I project. Most of the Zenith Bank branches, most of the FCMB bank branches, most of the total filling stations is because most of us cannot see the roof from where we stand, but most of them are already being powered by solar energy. So there's a gradual shift in terms of technological innovation. And of course, before now, if you look at African market, especially the West African market, most developers are more prone to want to use polycrystalline modules for their project. But you can see also that there's beginning to be a shift away from that. Everybody is embracing the mono and the monopeg. So these are the effects of when standards are being followed and the rules and regulations that is guiding every stakeholder is being followed. And of course, market expansion and increase the active players. If one of the presented, now if you see the partners that we have that most of us are partnering with, is unfortunately we don't really make reference to Nigeria local companies that we partner with. The reason for this is because, again, gradually we are building and we are moving to that space. So as it is now, in terms of active players, it's quite encouraging that we are seeing a lot of local players also moving into the space and regularly competing with the foreign players. And of course, positive shift in consumer mindset. A lot of questions come up a lot of time about, when you talk about solar power, somebody will ask, can you power my iron? Can you power my pumping machine? And so you get like, we are talking about megawatt, gigawatt of projects, and somebody is talking about those small projects. So again, when that standard is there and there's not enough awareness and enough education, it's going to shift the mind of everybody from the perspective of that solar street light that never worked that they knew to the new technology that is going to shape the dynamics globally in the next couple of years. Of course, increase in adoption and penetration. And of course, I also talked about expanded in solar application use. Before now also, so right now, if you look at most African countries, in terms of solar application, we can see that it's being used for irrigation, for farming. We can see that water desalination, and a whole lot of applications are currently being run on solar. So it's expanding it, and also it's going to be very great to see a Nigeria market also moving away and embracing all these new applications in order to be able to provide the energy need and to meet the gap that we currently have in the country. Next slide, please. Okay, so for us as Trina Solar, so having said all this, what are we doing as a company to ensure that the standard that is being put in place, that we follow the standard and ensure that what we are shipping to the global market and of course to the African market meet the standard. So we want to look at this in two ways. We look at the global approach and we look at the regional approach. So for the global approach, first and foremost, if we can move to the next slide, is our automated robotic factory where we produce our PV modules. So I can say that all our factories are fully robotic and automated. So what that simply translates is that in terms of standard, in terms of medical quality and all that, there's never going to be any compromise. And of course, we provide top quality products from, I'm happy to say that in the industry, we are the first company in the industry to get the UL testing certificate. And of course, in-house for our production, we have over 200 in-house testing across our production line. So this is just to ensure that every production that we do, every product that comes out meets the highest standard. And of course, in terms of reliability and all that, we have a third-party test that is being done on all our products to ensure that they meet the standard and to meet the what we have promised that is going to deliver. And of course, this is the reason why we are able to give between 25 to 30 years warranty on each of our products. Next slide. Okay, so I think another interesting thing that we do is in terms of our technological innovation in Trina Solar. So there's what we call the non-destructive cutting technology, which is the NDC, which leads to high mechanical strength at a full set. What this simply means is that, for example, if you pick a solar panel and you use a microscope to look at a panel, you will see probably some kind of rough edges that is not smooth on the panel. So, but for us at using the not destructive cutting technology, it means that you are going to have that smooth surface of panel. And what does that translate to? It means that high qualities of cell, and of course the probability of having micro cracks on those and hot spots on those modules is eliminated. So and of course in terms of the layout of the cell, the way they are laid, there is no overlapping, is straight. So it's also which also reduces or eliminate the chances of micro cracks in modules. Next slide. Okay, and I think one in terms of technology again, and I think this is the final one. Is what our approach to the regional market. So for us in Nigeria and other West African countries, and of course other countries within the African continent, we operate in a hot and humid weather climate condition. So which means that the regular product that is being sold in other countries may not be applicable here. So for backsheet modules, for example, in most cases, what is being used traditionally is what we call EVA, which is a EVA backsheet. But for us at Trina Solar, because of, so one of the measures we take is that, for example, if you have taken an inquiry, okay, I have a project I'm working on in Angola, for example, and so when I want to make an inquiry from HQ, I want to supply module to this country. So one of the things we look at is that we go and check our directory to see that, okay, what kind of weather climate condition do we have with this? So for Nigeria markets, most Ghana, Togo, and most of other West African countries, any product that we are selling to this product is not backed, the backsheet is not backed by EVA, but it's backed by what we call POE plus POE encapsulate. So what this simply means is that for this particular reason, it does not allow water to enter the cell, which further ensure that the efficiency of the module. For some of us that probably did a bit of chemistry in school, we understand how permeable, how air can enter into the back of a cell. So again, in this particular regards, in most cases, what is recommended for project in a hot and humid weather climate condition is a double glass, because you know for double glass, the cell is well protected and there's zero possibility of water or air entry into the cell, which provides 100% efficiency. But again, because of the cost implication, we've looked at it that, okay, we can also look at a POE backsheet, and this also is also a very good way to ensure that ensure efficiency and optimization of modules that we are using, and of course the bankability and the long reliability of our project. So for us at Trina Solar, this is what we are doing, and in a nutshell, I think that is the final slide. If we can move, in a nutshell, if you look at generally in terms of projects across the continent and in terms of standardization, this is the way to go, because again, without that, there's no way we can track the right investors. There's no way we can have a bankable project, and of course, if projects are not bankable, there's no way we are going to get the financial institution to be able to bankroll and to fund those projects. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you so much for that beautiful presentation, Mr. Sam Ogunniyi. And so with that, we come to the end of the presentations and the sessions. And so we'll be taking some questions. And I would like to start by reading some of the questions that have already come up in the chat. One question from Engineer Bamidele says, can you please share your PV panel recycling plan, process, and policy, both for JA and Trina Solar representatives? So Mr. Ogunniyi and Mr. Ojo, would you like to address that? Mr. Ogunniyi, you can go first, then Mr. Ojo.
Okay, so yeah, I think for me, it would be great if you can help us get the contact details, email address of the person that put up the question, because it's a complete document that we'll have to share, so that we can share the end-to-end process of how this is being done. So I don't know if Ayo has any other thing to add.
I want to say the same thing. It's a document. basically, and it's the best to share it for you to have a review of it, basically.
Okay. I think, Mr. Bamdele, I think you have their emails. My colleague Tosin will write them and will post their emails again. Maybe you can email them and request for that document as well. The second question we have or observation is from Mr. Abiodun. I think visibility is an issue with the solar PV companies in Nigeria. My company gave a contract to Soventech to install a 730 kilowatt solar panel PV, and none of the names popped up during our search for local companies. We need to be in the face of the customers. I think this is a step in the right direction. Any observations from the panelists about this?
Yeah, I guess I have an idea of that company and of the project. What I would say is when evaluation comes for projects like this, the checklists, most local companies don't have that checklist. So they will tell you should have been operating for X and Y number of years, you could have done X and Y number of projects and come with proof of having done such projects. Nigerian companies may not have that. The kind of book balance, they like X and Y, the book balance of companies that they want to offer such to. And when it comes to now doing due diligence on the project, most companies will prefer to give it to the likes of the, even if they're going to be a Nigerian company, it will be, Sovex is a big company, but with the Nigerian entity, they'll give it to Soventis. At the end, Soventis might end up giving it to local guys, installers, or to do the work. But they are the ones that have the books to get such projects. Hence, it's a chicken and egg. Which one comes first? Do we give projects to local companies, trusting them and not looking at the books, or looking at the books and not say, okay, sorry, they are not big enough, which is the truth. And I'm talking now from the side of the investors, because the owners of the money, the EU owns the pipe, dictates the tune, right? The owners of the monies, they want a trusted company that has years of experience and all. Like our university projects, all of us knew the university projects some years ago. The first 6 thereabouts. How many local companies? Yeah, that is federal government, right? So these are the challenges that we have in the industry. But I guess Arian is doing a lot of things in that regard to address some of these things and to empower local companies. I don't know if Sam has.
No, I think 100% I'm aligned with you just shared. Of course, you are very experienced also in the industry, so 100% I align with what you've just said.
Okay. All right, and then we have one more question, or actually 2 more questions. Does Trina Solar and JA Solar provide some financing or credit facility for mini grid or solar project developers?
Okay, so this same Trina Solar. So I think I will start. Unfortunately, we don't provide a credit facility. So what we can do is that in terms of when you are requesting for you are making order for your module. So probably we can see and give a bit of a credit line. For example, in most cases, when you want to pay for your product, is maybe probably the time is 10% deposit and 90% payment before shipment. But one of the things that we can consider on a case-to-case basis is that, okay, we can look at the case of a Sinosure. Probably we can see how we can apply for Sinosure is the Chinese credit insurance, how we can get that one for you to probably allow you to pay for over 30 days, over 60 days, 60 days, or in some cases we may grant 90 days. But in terms of we bankrolling project and financing it directly, is not something that we do at Trina Solar. In most cases, what we try to do is to connect. We have a lot of, quite a number of institutions that is funding of projects and all that. So if the major problem is funding itself, then probably we'll be able to connect whoever to any of the available institutions that do funding.
Pretty much almost the same model that we run. Yes, JA Solar we are not a a financing organization. We sell solar modules, so we may not extend finance directly to you, but we do. We have partners that can finance, basically. Also for distribution, for other projects, we give you win-win payment terms, 10% or 5% deposit payment, and we can ship to you, and we can structure how you get the balance payment made even before you get the products. Yes, signature is a thing that's worthy organizations can easily tap into. It's a Chinese insurance where it gives you deferred payment for about 90 days, 60, 90 days, preferably. But you have to look at your books to be sure you'll be able to pay back. And this track record that they will look for, they will ask for about 2-3 years working healthy working experience in industry and with good turnover. Look, small Nigerian company may not be able to have that, but some of them are beginning to have. And these are structures that we support our partners with. And for payment generally, these are things to be discussed. So if you're interested, our emails are on the thing, ojo@jasolar.com. You can shoot us emails. Let's have a discussion. One-on-one, we can have something to do, definitely.
Okay, great. I'll direct this question at Engineer Cyprian. What's the engagement like between your company and Son? Mr. Deji is asking this question, and so I would like to, from your own perspective, what is that interaction like with all the equipment? I think you probably bring a vast your equipment vary, so it'll be very interesting to see what kind of interaction you have and what processes you have to go through with them.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks. In that regard, we ensure that our products meet all SON's, that is Standards Organization of Nigeria's regulations. So like I mentioned during my presentation, there's this scheme that they developed, which is a SONCAP, basically Standards Organization of Nigeria Conformity Assessment Program. I think that's a full meaning. So it ensures that whatever product is coming into the country from wherever, they ensure that these products are put to test and ensure that they meet already designated standards, usually at a minimal level. So they ensure that it doesn't go below this particular standards or specifications per se. So that's what it's supposed to be. I'm trying to say this, I'm trying to be as realistic as possible. So that is what they tend to do. And from my standpoint, we have had all the products that we export, that is from Austria to Nigeria, they all pass through these processes, and we have certifications for each and every one of them. So I'm quite happy and glad to say so. So that's just to answer the question directly now. Yes, this is what SON is doing in that regard. So it is also to ensure that it is done to the latter, not just particular manufacturers and then others are left to slip in between some cracks and then have their products into the market. Because I can tell you that from my little experience, we have lots and lots of substandard products scattered all around, and they tend to wonder how they managed to make it into the country. And then you have the end users now complaining. So hopefully we believe that SON would have a good grip on all products coming into the country and ensure that they meet all these designated standards.
Engineer Cyprian, just a follow-up to that question, because we have some we have laymen here, we have people that are just getting into the industry. And so I think their own understanding is that you do all the testing on your side, and you just put like a sticker on it to say, oh, certified. So the question is now that if you are going to do all of that testing, you're not doing it jointly with the people from Sun, right? You're not doing it jointly with people from Nigeria. So what is to say if I'm bringing equipment from abroad, I just put any sticker on it? You know, give them give them a real overview of how this process works. Are you just working in isolation? You put the stickers on, they come in, and then they are certified, or how does that work?
No. So just like the other speakers, Mr. Ogunniyi and Ojo rightly stated, and he also, I think that was Mr. Ojo that gave us samples or examples of how the certificates look like. There are certificates or certifications for, we call it ingress protection, IP. And then this IP, for example, IP basically stands for ingress protection, and then they have levels per se. So we have, say, for example, products that have IP66, for example, or IP65, that is ingress protection level of 65 or 66, as earlier mentioned. So it means that these products are able to withstand penetration, per se. I'm trying to use as familiar words, penetration of particles into the product, for example. I'm now giving you an example of a particular certification process or certification standard. So we ensure that our product for this particular ingress protection, even if installed under the rain, that is, if it's under the rain, no water particle is going to get into the inverter, for example. And I'm being specific. You get. So these are what the kind of tests we actually put our products through. And then on exportation, we put our certificates. And then just like Mr. Ojo also showed on his slide, these certifications also have third-party certifications, meaning that other certification bodies, as I would say, also put these products to test. These are renowned institutes, international institutes that put this product to test and confirm that these products actually meet the standards. So afterwards, at the point of entry, these products are selected and then put through this same test and then therefore certified that they meet these standards. So these are the processes that actually put in place to ensure that these products coming into Nigeria what they meet the standards and they do what they are said to do. I hope I have been as detailed as possible.
Yes, thank you so much, Engineer CYPRIAN. Mr. Deji, you're raising up your hand. Can you ask your question? Or okay, I think I'll just go with the other questions for now. And this is okay from the same side.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to appreciate everyone and good presentation.
Sorry, Mr. Deji, you're breaking up quite a bit. We can't hear you.
But you see, the angle where I'm coming from is why I'm asking. Is it? Hello, can you hear me now?
You're breaking up quite a bit.
Oh. Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay. All right. So the area I'm coming in from, is concerning this all the products. My company, we're into installation, and we go to the market day-to-day activities, and we noticed that a lot of substandard products, not even on solar alone. We're talking about the batteries and other stuffs. And presently, like to talk directly to the solar people, we have fairly used solar panels now in Nigeria have been brought in as a business. And I begin to wonder, if you're telling me that you're bringing in a solar panel from London, from US, from wherever they are coming from, are these things not passing through our body? What are the things that are what are they doing to flood this market? New panel and fairly used panel can never be the same thing. So I just want to know why and how Standard Organization of Nigeria has not taken it upon themselves, and also to involve installers. Because we are the one who gets information and always feed them information at every real time. So basically, that's what I want to comment on, and what aspect of renewable energy. Thank you.
I think, Mr. Ojo, can you answer that question, and then we can have Mr. Ogunniyi speak after.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Deji, for the question and what you noticed in the market. All of us will notice the same thing. You have seen solar panels that JA Solar stopped manufacturing in 2010. And is in Nigeria, and somebody is posting it on WhatsApp status as for sale. I'm like, sorry, okay, where did you see this thing? I don't understand. And like, yeah, it's imported, is fairly used, is very good. They used it for just 5 years and they removed it from the installation in Europe, and he's here now for sale. I asked him, where did you get? Because I work for you. How did you get it? He said they imported it. He is a reseller. He got it from an importer from Alaba. So just let me tell you, I understand what you're talking about. This same thing goes even for batteries, for charge controllers, for everything. Yes, some of these panels, the used ones, might still have a little efficiency on them. People will buy it. It's solar. But that's what we are trying to clamor for, which is what on my slide is not the work of just Sun alone. It's the son of work of the customs. It's because of it's everybody. It's the installers. It's you that you buy these things. Try not to patronize them. Try not to when there are lots of discussions, lots of WhatsApp groups of installers. Bring these things up and let's discuss it for these panels not to be patronized. If there's no market, they won't import it. But if there's a market, me and you know it will be coming into this country, no matter how it is. What they do is to get the global certifications that you have, and you get your SunCap certificate. They review documents, and they know, yes, these companies are trustworthy. They will give you a SunCap certificate. That is how people import tier 1 panels like JA Solar, like Sam's panels. But some other panels are imported in such a way that when they want to go and clear cargo, they'll just buy 100 panels, put it inside a container, carry small batteries, put it inside, carry car, put it inside, carry fridge and freezer, put it inside. They import these things. When it comes to importations, all those multi-products importation, multi-items importation like that, nobody will ask for certificates of importation of such. And that's how most of these things come from China or from other places. Even the substandard products that me and you know in the market. They don't do pure importation of a container full of products. They just do join different products and put it in. And they still just pay the custom clearance, and customs allow them to go in. They've paid for the container. So that's pretty much the challenge. It's everybody's work. It's your work, it's my work. Sun can only do much, but they cannot be at the ports. Yes, they have an office at the port. When you pay them 10,000, 10 or 15,000 naira now per container, they've collected their own money for the government. Civil service, it's okay. But what we need is to demarket the product that gives you a problem on site, and stick to buying tier 1 panels, which will last longer for your business partners or your customers, and which will give you rest of mind. That's basically, I guess that addresses that.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Ogunniyi, do you have anything to add to that?
Just one or two lines. I totally agree with Ayo on what he said. And I think in addition to that, he said it, and I think that we need to re-emphasize it, that the problem starts from installers, not from those that are actually bringing in those substandard products. Because I've had an engagement with I was in a client's place, and an installer wanted to buy what he came for was that he wanted to buy what cheapest panel do you have available. So we're trying to educate the why cheapest and all that, because they are trying to cut costs in time of their installation. And by doing that, what is the implication? You cannot sleep at night, because when your customer that you have already done an installation for get back home at night where he wants to use the system, then it's not working, it's not serving. So they start calling you and all that. So I think for installers, I think one of the things that I think they strongly need to do is that, yes, I know in terms of economically, there is no, there is the disposable level of money that we have is not that high. So for them, if they can approach every customer they are talking to, I'm going to use a tier 1 inverter, tier 1 battery, tier 1 panel. This is what this project is going to cost you. However, if you do this, you are going to enjoy X, Y, Z. Why we can go for other product and this is the cost. So I don't think most of them do this. And the moment they didn't do this, there is going to be a problem, because they always want to come from that angle of, money, how cheap it is that they can get a project done. And a step further to that, if actually customers agree that, okay, you've mentioned XYZ brand, which are top brand, I want them, and they pay for them, do they actually, at the end of the day, buy those products and use those products? Or they were like, okay, they pay me 100,000 naira for this, I can actually go and get 40,000 naira. So I think for installers also, I think this should also, so it's not only, as Ayo said, it's not only for standard organization of Nigeria, and even we that we say, I think installers has a very great role to play in this.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ogunniyi. And I think the final question I would like to ask, if we can finish up with this, is I was talking with a colleague of mine, and he said that there is this practice now that they peel, especially for solar panels, they remove the data spec at the back, and then they mismatch them. So you can have a solar panel of 150 watts. They remove that data spec, then they put one of a higher wattage, in order to sell it. And he told me that is quite common. And just like Mr. Ojo rightfully said, it's a job for everyone. But I want to know what powerhouses like Trina Solar and JA Solar, what are they actually doing? Because this is it reflects bad on the entire industry. If we remember the first time solar came into Nigeria, the industry crashed because of the advent of quacks, that's installers who couldn't do or size these systems properly, and then the substandard products. And so now that it has a resurgence, what are companies that can really do something about it do to protect their own brand? So it also cuts across not just solar panels, with other tier 1 equipment like Fronius. I'm curious to see exactly what practical steps your companies are taking to kind of maybe monitor once these panels come into Nigeria, what can they do to kind of stem this tide that we're seeing that is happening in Nigeria? Because we have to be realistic. This is always going to happen. Is the context of our industry, is the context of being in Nigeria. There are always people that want to cheat the system in this way. So what are the practical steps that your companies are taking to stop this practice?
Sorry, if I might chip in, please, apologies to Sam and Ojo. I have a personal, as in I've had an experience, a direct experience. I just want to share mine before. I hope you wouldn't mind, please.
Yeah, very well, no problem.
Okay, great. So before joining Fronius, I had some I worked under the auspices of REA. So I installed some substations per se, solar substations. So there was this particular experience I had. So what happened in this case was that it was subcontracted to a particular contractor. So they now told me that they were going to source for the products. So I gave them specifications because I was, the size, project size was made known to me. I think about that was a 20 kilowatts project. So they now said that, okay, they will do the procurement. All I have to do is just to do the installation. So I said, okay, no problem. So they did the procurement and then sent these products to site. So as I came to site, the first thing I did was to test the solar panel. So I did a voltage and short circuit current test and found out that it was supposed to be, I think, 320 watts panels. But then from the test I carried out, they were actually way, way lower than that. I think about 180 or so. So it was obviously lower than expected, about probably around 50 or just above 50% of the expected capacity of solar panel. So obviously it behoves that if I had installed everything that way, it will be generating approximately 50% of the expected capacity. So I quickly told them that, see, this is what's happening here. Whether you know or you don't know, but I'm just trying to bring this to your attention. And to my surprise, the installer said I should just go ahead and install it. I told her I wasn't going to install this thing. If this thing is going to be, I wasn't going to install. I ended up not installing it, honestly. So later I found out that okay, the contractor gave it to someone, and the project, the person or the company installed it that way. So that's I really wanted to share from what Mr. Tolu just, the question he asked. So you can go ahead, Mr. Samuel.
Thanks, Prince. That is a very, very practical and very common experience that we've all witnessed in the market. And I think my response is going to be that, so one of the things that, okay, so at this point, I think I have to speak for the company that I represent, which is Trina Solar. So one of the things that we have done, and I think most tier one brand are doing, is to have, first and foremost, to have a local representative across the region. So I sit in Nigeria, I cover West and Central Africa countries, and I go to those countries very often in order to monitor what is happening there. So that is the first step. Then the second step is that we've appointed distributors, and we are still appointing in some of these countries, which means that even, for example, in Angola or DRC, if I'm not there, I have my distributor. I have my distributor in Ghana, for example, that even when I'm not around, it can also keep an eye on what is happening. So by that, we are closer to the end users. And there's the final one is that in terms of people that actually do, especially the experience that CYPRIAN has, that they will probably remove the label of a panel and put another one. They don't do that very often with top brands, just the same way nobody is trying to imitate iPhone, Apple product. So it's the same way for top brand, they don't really do that. So they will tell you, oh, there's another panel that is competing with the top brand and it's cheaper. What is the name? They produce those names in their warehouse and they put it. You'll be surprised to go to Alaba today and you tell them we want 850 watt panel. Oh no, they have it available. In fact, you are lucky. You are going to be our first comer. You just came in yesterday. They'll tell you give us 5 minutes because they printed it, or they have a printing machine that they just go and print it and just paste it up that. But again, they would, most of the time they don't do that with the top brand because they know it's very easy for this to be tracked. So so getting closer to the end users, to the developers, to the project owners, and of course having more deeper footprint in terms of distribution network and things that part of the things that we are doing in the industry. And of course, when we have cases like that, we flag it up. For example, if you have a case that Yes, this panel actually is a Trina Solar panel, for example, and the label is Trina panel, but let's say it's 350 watt peak, and they've put 700. So from the serial number, you can send it to us. We can send it back to the back end office to see who actually bought that panel, and we can trace the history of that panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Ojo, would you like to round up for us?
Yeah. Okay. Well, to corroborate what Sam just said, some few weeks ago from one of my local partners, I guess from Nigeria, he sent me a paper. They've not pasted it on the back of any panel. Paper. They printed a panel we've not started making. 560 watts. Sorry, this one. Even me, I'm the sales manager. I have not seen this one. They've not. Factories have not started making that exact one, but they've started selling it. Yeah, as he said, they've printed. They said they are expecting the panels. Alaba. But what I try to do is, when I see anybody talking to me from Burkina Faso, I give them the contact of my partner on ground. So when you're buying, you're not just going to open markets to go and be looking for it. Like in Nigeria, there are partners in Abuja, there are partners in Lagos. I will give you X and Y contact. Contact this person. You will get is an approved partner, and what you are getting there, 100% I trust, which is the best way. And from fora like this, we get to discuss and tell people, instead of you to just go into the markets and be looking for, why not patronize people that are respected in the industry? Some of us, we know some of the names of people that sell panels and they sell good ones. Patronize them as an installer, which is the best way to go around it. Well, generally in terms of standardization, it's an everybody's duty. That's what is coming out now. Even not just we've been talking about solar panels more, but for inverters, charge controllers, even mounting structures, there are good ones, there are bad ones, and these are things that affect projects and cause distrust for the industry. So we should try as much as possible to stick with the standard and for us to play our own part in making us a standardized and respected industry as a whole.
Thank you very much. That was a good way to round it up. On behalf of ETC, I want to really thank all our panelists, Engineer CYPRIAN, Mr. Ogunniyi, and Mr. Ojo for giving us the insights that we need in terms of standardization in the industry. We hope to use you as resources because again, we said we're at the intersection with some people who are going to be installers in the industry, people who are going to own their own companies. So we hope to, again, create this platform for you to share your technology with us. For everybody who joined, we really appreciate and we thank you for joining us. And we hope that we'll get to publicize more of our webinars with you that would focus more on the solar industry and the renewables space in Nigeria. So thank you again to everyone for joining us, and I hope all of you enjoy the rest of your day.